It will be available on YouTube in the next day or two. I will send out the YouTube link to everybody who registered, and those of you who aren't registered but are on the call will also get it. So that if you need to see some of the details or get a refresh on this, it'll be available to you. On my first training assembly session, my internet went down. That was glitch number one. It didn't stay down very long. So if that happens, you will be kicked off the call, but get right back on because I will be back on and we'll be good to go. It'll last less than 30 seconds, I promise. So Helene, how do you want to handle questions? Do you want to take them as they come or at the end?
Yeah, well, I can take them as they come if they're, require short answers. And certainly at the end, I'll leave some time for questions as well. Once I get my slides up, if you have a question, you're just going to have to shout it at me because I'm only going to have very few of you on the right side of my screen to call by name. So you'll just have to let me know you have a question.
Okay. Any questions for Helene before we get started? Do you have your slides up, Helene?
No, I can do that. I'll start that now and see if it works.
Okay.
Let's see. What just something foreign just came up here.
Yeah. Okay. Let me get you on. Okay. You should be able to screen share if you bring up your PowerPoint. Yay! It's there.
I'm trying to get a full screen. Let's see what I get here. Okay. Everybody see that?
And
okay, I hear heads. I see a couple of heads shaking on the right side of my screen. So, okay. When I talk about global grants, when I talk about grants, any kind of a grant through Rotary, district grant, global grant, it really does allow you to take your club right down the garden path and bring them to the global stage of humanitarianism. Because when you do a grant, you're really going to get your club excited about doing something meaningful. It will be fulfilling for them. And I know that you'll get a lot out of it, and so will they. And it will really introduce them to big time Rotary. So now I'm going to see how I get to the next slide here. There we go. Okay. So, the first thing I want to tell you is doing a global grant is not rocket science. You don't have to have a PhD or an SCD in rocket fuel or getting to the moon. It is not difficult. It is not complicated. And I know that some of you that have tried to do a global grant have said that, oh, there's too many qualifications and too many things I have to do, and they keep emailing me back, I need something else. Well, if you do your homework before you even start the application process, you don't really have to worry about a lot going wrong. So this does require doing homework. And the first thing it requires is an MOU, a memorandum of understanding, so that you have an understanding with your partner club that they're going to be involved with this. Everybody signs a memorandum of understanding, and that gets filed with your application. You can find that at the website I've given you on the slide. And then number two, all global grants require a community needs assessment. If you don't do that, you really don't know what you're doing. Because if you think you're going to go into an African village and have a borehole well dug, and then just, when it comes through, just kiss everybody goodbye and say, here's your clean water, folks, have a happy life, make it healthy, drink the water from the well. Well, that well may not last past a couple of schoolboys throwing a couple of rocks into it to check and see how deep it goes. So you really have to do a community needs assessment. You may even have to teach that community how to use this well, how to keep it safe so that rocks don't get thrown into it. So there's many things that need to be considered before you get to write that hot little application that you're going to have to fill out. So community needs assessment is a requirement. Who is going to do it? Well, I recommend that the host do it. The host is where the project's going to take place. They need to assess whether what you want to do there is needed. If it's not needed, what's the point of doing what you have in mind? So you're going to have to really work with your partner. You must have an international partner. And how do you go about getting one? Ask. Ask past district governors. Ask people who have traveled and have visited foreign Rotary clubs, if they have any connections there. Most of the past district governors in this district have had some contact with other clubs in other countries, other district governors in other countries, and have visited clubs in other countries and can get you a partner in other different parts of the world. I know Rich Delacqua, who's with us here tonight, has been to Uganda. He's been to many other places. He's got contacts in those places. I've got contacts in India, in Malaysia and Uganda as well. We all have had some experiences in our travels as district governors or past district governors. So ask, that's the first step. If you want to join another club's project, you can always go to the website matchinggrants.org, where you can find a project to your liking that your club would like to get involved with. So there are ways of finding an international partner, and that international partner will likely be the host unless you're doing a project in this country. And did you know that you can do a global grant right here, right in your district? So keep that in mind. Keep it right up at the top of your list to do a grant right here. So the needs assessment is a requirement. You must do it. So we've got money. We've got, first we've got the MOU, we've got the needs assessment, we've done that. We've got our host partner and our international partner. We may well be the international partner. And you need money. And don't forget that the minimum total that you need for your grant is going to be $30,000. Now, that doesn't mean that you're going to have to come up with $30,000 in cash, because remember, you've got your DDF that you can spend. You can engage other clubs and other clubs in other districts to join with you in your project. You can raise that kind of money. Don't think that you can't, because there are many avenues to raising that kind of money, from other club donations to other district donations to non-Rotarians donating because they're interested. And by the way, getting non-Rotarians to contribute to projects like this could very well make them Rotarians when they see what happens with the money that they contribute and how far it goes and the kind of good throughout the world that it does. So money is something that we can get. It takes just a little bit of effort. And I know if you're all eager enough to do the project, you will be eager enough to raise the money for it. There are 3 publications that I recommend at the bottom of this slide. I would recommend that you take a look at them and use them. There's a lot of information available to you that RI puts out. Let's see. This is the Finding Partners. This is a look at the matchinggrants.org webpage, and it shows you how they're still waiting for money and how much they need. And if they, if you're interested in some of these things, you might want to get your club to join one. Joining another club or another district and doing a global grant will save you a lot of the work that goes into writing up your grant and doing everything that's necessary, because essentially these clubs have already done the basic work. They're raising funds way. And if you join them, just give them the money, your club then can become a sponsor or one of the partners of this project. So this is an easy way to slide your club into doing a global grant, and may well be the way that your club would rather go maybe first time around, so they get the feel of what it's all about and what needs to be done. And you might want to consider joining another club and doing something like this. So let's move forward. There's a lot of resources that TRF puts out. By the way, TRF is the Rotary Foundation. Want to make sure everybody knows that one. And they have a lot on the website that you can use. And this is some of it. I've given you the site address in red at the top there. And you can get all this information. There's a plethora of information about global grants, global grant scholarships, all kinds of things that you can use so that you can learn more about doing a global grant. Again, it is not rocket science because really TRF kind of takes you by the hand through this process. I've had a lot of people become very upset if they get a note from the Rotary Foundation indicating that they didn't give them something that they needed for this grant. And I always tell everybody, you know, if you do exactly what they tell you to do, they take you by the hand and they walk you down the garden path, you'll be able to give them exactly what they want. So if you do get a letter in response to either your application or to a report, then they will send you exactly what they need. They'll even send you a form that you didn't fill out that you need to fill out. They'll send you that form. They are very good about taking you by the hand through the garden path. So don't look upon it a terrible thing happening. It's a good thing because they're making sure that every single dollar that has come from your club members and the other Rotarians throughout the world into the Rotary Foundation is spent properly. They're making absolutely sure of that. And that's why we've got a 4-star rating from Charity Navigator as to the ability of the Rotary Foundation to do what it needs to do. So you need to have pride in the foundation because it is truly your foundation. When you look at it as your foundation, you realize that it is you who tell it what to do, when to do it, where to do it, for whom to do it, and with whom you are going to do it. It's you. So bottom line, it is your foundation. And if they send you a little email telling you you didn't send us this, that, or the other, and here it is, you need to send it to us, don't get bent out of joint. This is because they want to ensure that the money you gave and all of the other members gave is being handled pristinely. So let's try and remember that. So here are some of the grant resources. One of the ones that I have darkened and I have 3 stars next to it is the Global Grant Application Template. If you go to www.rotary.org, which you should have memorized as a Rotarian, you will get to the Rotary website. And if you click on the Rotary Foundation, you will be taken to the foundation page. And then if you click on the Grant Center, you will get to this page. And this page on the right side has grant resources. And you'll see some orange arrows that I've put there. And one of them is Global Grant Application Template. That is the best thing you can download and print out and have handy, because a lot of people try to do the application online and they have to do it in parts because it's an extensive application. You have to fill it out with a lot of information. And it's many pages long. And so when they reach their exhaustion point, they click save and they prepare to come back to it at a later time to continue the application process. What I like to see, because I think it shows more organization and more meticulous planning, and certainly more meticulous writing for the application, is if you print this grant application template out and actually write your grant application and have it on your template so that when you've completed that application, you can actually sit down on the computer and get the grant application and completely fill it out because you've already got the template ready to go. You've edited it, you've revised it, you've shown it to people that you need to show it to help you. And you're able at that point to go back to the grant application and fill it out properly, get everything in there and know that you did it correctly because you made all of your corrections and revisions on the template. So it's just kind of a no-brainer. And you'll notice that the next arrow points to global grant report template. Remember that a global grant needs to be reported on at the end of the first year of the grant and every year thereafter. And if you don't send your report in, our district gets in trouble because if we have enough people who don't send a report in a timely fashion, the district is penalized in that we no longer can put in grant applications because we haven't had timely reporting on our open grants. So remember that, if you don't do your report in a timely fashion, and that's got to be done between you and your host or your international partner. Both of you are responsible. If the host partner doesn't do it, then the international partner has to do it. Somebody has got to do the report. So keep that in mind. You must do it. Otherwise, you will be penalized by the Rotary Foundation, but the district, somebody like me who's really nasty, will write you a nasty email demanding that you hurry up and get your report in and offering you any help that you need in order to get that report in. So just keep that in mind. Reports are important. So when you look at a global grant, I purposely made this slide very, very confusing and all different kinds of print types and fonts and whatever, because there's a lot you need to do to prepare. You can't just do a global grant application by thinking, gee, it'd be a great thing if this little village I visited in Kenya would have a couple of borehole wells. Gee, why don't we do that? Well, forget it, because you haven't got your partner yet. You haven't done your community needs assessment yet. You haven't really prepared. It can't just be something that's spontaneously decided by one person. It must be an organized group of people. So you need to have people in your club that are interested enough in forming the committee for this grant project. You need to have your host do the same thing. You have a lot of decisions to make. Where are you going to do this? What country? What are going to be the focus areas of your project? And having one focus area means that your application is not going to be as extensive as it would have to be if you are going to do a project that encompasses the 7 focus areas, because you'd have to put all the sustainability issues and all the reasons and et cetera, for all 7 areas. So when you check your focus areas, make sure that you're not going to use too many of them so that you confuse the issue. You need to do all of this, working out the costs, getting bids for the costs, finding out exactly what they need, who's going to sponsor it, who's going to be partners. You need to get this all taken care of before you even look at the application. Now, we do have some help in this district to help you do applications. We have help who can give you assistance in planning your project and in filling out the application and actually helping you write the application. The cadre of technical advisors to the Rotary Foundation is a group of about 700 or 750 volunteers, all of whom are Rotarians, who volunteer their professional expertise on behalf of the Rotary Foundation. They are the people who are sent to visit the projects, to make sure that your money is being spent properly, to make sure that the best possible prices were secured, to be sure that the sustainability issues are being worked out and concentrated upon. They are experts not only in their professional expertise, but they can help you plan your application, plan your project. They can help you write your application. They can help you write your reports. They are very useful people to have. In this district, there are 3 of them. I have them at the bottom of the slide. I hope you can see them. PDG Rudy Westervelt, myself, PDG Ricardo Lareda. Now, each of us is certified in certain areas, and Ricardo was financial analysis, and Rudy, I forget what CED is. Oh dear. Oh, I think that's helping to complete the applications, that sort of thing, helping with the writing of the application. My certification is in basic education, literacy, and disease prevention and treatment, because my specialty kind of has a foot in each of those. So like just a couple of months ago, I had to review the status of a project in Bali for cleft palate children. My specialty is speech pathology and audiology, so cleft palates is one of my things. So these people are here in the district. All you have to do is contact them and say, you know, I really need help writing this application, or I really need some help in setting up this project. They're delighted to help you. I know that Rudy and Ricardo would be delighted to be of assistance to any of you who contact them, and so would I. So help also is from the District Rotary Foundation Chair, who is Steve Yeager. His knowledge of grants, he's the top guy here. He's the top guy in the district for the foundation. So, you know, if you've got questions, he's the guy who's going to be able to answer them for you. So contact him. He's in, we used to have a district directory. So I was going to say he's in the directory, but I haven't gotten a directory this year. So I know you can find him though on DACDB. Grant chairs. Your district grant chair is Mary Brown, and I know she would be more than happy to help you with the district grant. And of course, with the global grants, I'm always happy to help anybody who needs it. So don't forget your cadre members. Here's the mission, and I'll let you just kind of read that yourself because I know you can read. They are not really advertised in this district for some reason or other. And we have been talking about how we can get the cadre more advertised, used more. That is an issue that comes up in our monthly meetings, and hopefully you out there listening and watching will use them. And then because they've done you such a good deed, you'll tell other people to use them as well, because they do what they do because they want to maintain the very high status of the Rotary Foundation and keep us in the 4-star category. So I hope you will use them. Don't hesitate. Okay, tips for success. You know, you can do something quickly and forget a lot. Or you can take your time, do your homework, take advantage of all the resources, and be careful and do it right the first time. And of course, I highly recommend the latter. So the global grant requirements need to be done first. So you need to start finding a partner. You need to have some idea of the kind of project that you want to do in terms of perhaps the area of focus. You might want to do the area of focus that is disease prevention and treatment. And if you have something like that in mind, this is something you would have to discuss with the host to find out if that is indeed needed in the area. And the host may say to you, oh yeah, we need that. Boy, we really need disease prevention and treatment. Well, it's okay to hear that. but you need to have a formal community needs assessment done. And there is a form that is on the Rotary website. Just type in community needs assessment, boom, it should take you right there. I hope you won't say I'm a liar if it doesn't work, but it worked for me every time I've looked for it. And there's like a handbook on the community needs assessment as well. And it tells you the kinds of things you can do to get a community needs assessment. If it's going to be a project done in a school, you need to talk to the school administrators. You need to talk to the school teachers. You need to talk to anybody that's working in that school who is capable of telling you whether that is needed or if there is a more important need that they have that you should be filling. So you really need to trust your host. And if based upon what you see the assessment is from the host is something that you question, you need to ask the host some interesting questions, one of which would be, did you interview the leaders of the school community? Did you interview the parent teachers group? Do you have a parent teachers group there? Did you talk to some of the parents? So you can be involved every step of the way as you need to be. You should be involved with this project every step of the way and be kept informed by the host of what they are doing and when it is to be done. Again, I want to stress number 3, print out that global grant application template and use it. Have your template reviewed. And I would have it reviewed by one of the cadre members or maybe by the DRFC Steve Yeager. Somebody in this district should review your application template. It always pays to have a second or third set of eyes look at what you're doing so that you know you're just not blind to it. You know, after a while, if you're writing a tome, you do get a little blind to it. So it pays to have somebody else review it. And certainly after you've had it reviewed, you need to have your partner review it. For instance, when the host says that they'll write the application, when they do it, you need to read it carefully before you say, okay, go ahead, submit it to Rotary International. You need to read it. Now, I did a lot of grants with India, and I always insisted upon reading it before submission. And many, many times I was able to add a lot because I was looking at it from the medical perspective, the educational perspective, and they were looking at it differently. And so working together like that with your host or with your international partner, you will do a better job of doing the right things, getting the right things, and making sure everything goes well. The rest of this slide is really self-explanatory, and it's common sense. TRF instructions, I already talked to you about that. You get instructions from them that they need something, you didn't do it right, or you just didn't do it completely. Don't take offense. They need that because they want you to know that your money is going to the right place, it's going to do the right thing, and it's going to make life better for the right people, the people you wanted it to make lives better. So don't be insulted or anything. Just go ahead, do it to the best of your ability, and everything will work out really well. Now, you know, when we talk about sustainability, this is something that we never talked about in the olden days when we did what was called matching grants. Global grants was a successor from matching grants, and we never talked about sustainability. You know, we indeed would go and drop a borehole well and say, here you go, folks, here's your clean water, have a happy life, be healthy, and we'll see you around. And that was the extent of it. We would walk away, but we would, many of us, most of us, would never even know what happened to that well, whether it lasted 6 years or whether it lasted 6 months. We would not even know the answer to that question. And so our money was going right down with the well. And that's not the way we want to spend your money. We want to make sure that you get every single bang for your buck. And that's how we do it, because we do it with sustainability. And we insist, the Rotary Foundation insists upon sustainability, and that the issues of sustainability be fully addressed. And so, what does that mean? So I've listed a series of questions here. Again, I know you have the ability to read, and I think you'll see that these questions really address the issues of sustainability, because, in most instances, we're doing these projects for people who would never, ever be able to afford to do it for themselves. They don't have that kind of financial support. And so we're doing it for them. But are we really doing them this wonderful big favor if any one of these questions haven't been answered, and any one of these things come up that ruins the entire project and just makes our money have been wasted? So it is extremely important to look at these and say, oh my gosh, yes, we really need to do this, because if we're going to spend that kind of money and we're going to give our DDF away to this, and this is going to be at least a $30,000 project, I want to make sure that this is going to work. And so we really have to be very serious about how we treat these questions and how the elements of sustainability are addressed. If you look at the bottom of the slide on the right, and the bottom 4 red words: cultural, environmental, economic, and social. These are the elements of sustainability that we have to be very concerned about, because we can really just perform a series of faux pas if we don't address them. Look at cultural. If I go into Ramallah, which is in the Palestine area, and I'm having some sort of an event, and for lunch I serve everybody ham sandwiches, they're going to stone me out of the place. I have to do my homework. I can't go into Israel and serve ham sandwiches. There was a project that I did in Israel. It was an art project for disabled children to pair them with normal, quote unquote, children, so that they could get together, and all their parents, and they had lunch. And you can bet your bottom dollar that they were not served ham sandwiches, because the Arab people wouldn't eat them, the Jewish people wouldn't eat them, and we would have that would have been a horrible faux pas. That's ignorance, and we can't afford that kind of ignorance to go on in the project of the kinds that we do. So we need to look at every single one of them. Another cultural one. There are certain countries where women will not let a male physician examine their bodies. And so the free mammography and colposcopy center in the state of Kerala in India had to have female physicians. Smart. They thought of it. It wouldn't have been smart if they hadn't thought of it. Now, of course, they had the male physician who was the radiologist who read the mammography x-rays. But I think you get the picture. So we have to be very careful, and we have to look at sustainability very, very seriously. Okay. Now, there are clubs, to be very honest with you, most of the clubs in this district do not do global grants. It's astonishing. It's a very, very small group of clubs that do global grants. And, it really pains me, because global grants are so meaningful to the beneficiaries. And when you do a global grant and you see how meaningful it is to these people, it really does something to your club. It gives them a whole different perspective, and it also gives them a different perspective on the internationality of Rotary. I think it also really teaches them that doing something like this is so meaningful. And we're in fantasy land. Let's, for reality, we're in fantasy land. I mean, how many of you women have 20 lipsticks in your drawer? How many of you have 12 pairs of shoes to choose from? We are in fantasy land. And when you do these grants, you really get to see what life is all about in most of the world. I routinely am asked to speak to clubs about the Rotary Foundation, and I love doing that. And so I always say yes. But I was actually asked by one club not to show my gory pictures. Now, of course, this little burn girl on the bottom right there, that's kind of one of my gory pictures. But I mean, if I just show you beautiful children in school uniforms like the girl on the left, with her hair is so beautiful and she looks so lovely. That's really not the story of her life. This little 12-year-old girl had cancer. Her leg has been amputated. I think she's got a hemopelvectomy. Her artificial leg is so long, I think it went all the way up to her pelvis. That artificial leg is PVC pipe. And for $75, the Rotary Club paid for that artificial leg. $75. $75 allows this 12-year-old girl to stand up with her classmates and look them in the eye. She's not crawling on the ground. She is not glued to a wheelchair. She is up. She is walking. She is one of them. But every time she gains 5 pounds or grows an inch, she needs a new leg. And when I was with this child, I mean, she brought tears to my eyes. I don't even know if she's alive today. She may have died from metastases. I left that site wiping tears from my face. My husband was behind me, and I was just, she really affected me. This child is a Muslim. Her parents were sitting there watching our interaction in a really largely Hindu country, but she is treated no differently than the Hindu children. She is taken to this clinic that is supported by the Rotary Club, and she is given her leg free every time she needs a new leg. And the only thing that really sustained me over the years, and usually every time I talk about her and every time I look at her, I still get tears in my eyes. The only thing that really sustained me was knowing that because of people like you who give to the Rotary Foundation every year and who are serious about taking your foundation and making it do things like this in grants that are so meaningful to these people, it's only because of you and knowing that you're going to keep on giving that I feel such pride in what we do. Because without you, she wouldn't have that leg. And without you, this little girl would not have been able to be covered by skin grafts. And I have the picture of her covered in skin grafts as well. So what you do is unbelievable. You do things very few other people ever have the opportunity to do. And you're doing it only because you're Rotarians and because you own the Rotary Foundation and can do it with that foundation. So, I really applaud all of you who are here to learn about global grants, because this is what you have the opportunity to do. And my thing is that I believe that Rotary is an opportunity. And if you look down this list, there are so many reasons why Rotary is an opportunity. This is just a pittance of the opportunities that Rotary gives you. And once you understand that it is an opportunity, you are no longer sitting on the couch by yourself saying, what can I do? I'm only one person. You have the capacity to be a Bill Gates, except you don't have his bankroll. but you do have the means to do it because of your membership in Rotary and because there's 1.2 point whatever million people who got your back and who are letting you do things like this so that your Rotary experience can be just a fabulous opportunity for you as an individual. So I hope that, you know, some of what I'm saying will be meaningful to you. I hope that you will think that it is an opportunity and take advantage of that opportunity by doing global grants. You have help available. It is not difficult. It is not rocket science, and you can do such remarkable things. It's a no-brainer, a no-brainer. So take down DRFC Steve Yeager. There's his email. He is the District Rotary Foundation Chair. My email is there. That's COM on the end. And the cadre members, remember the cadre members are Rudy Westervelt and Ricardo Laredo and myself. So there's your help group. Now, I've left you a good amount of time for questions. So let me see if I can get rid of this. How do I get rid of this? I'm afraid to touch anything. Anybody know how I get rid of this?
Stop sharing. Click on the green arrow and stop share.
Oh, I don't see it. I don't have it on my screen.
Press escape.
Oh, escape? I can do that.
See if that works.
Up at the top, there should be a stop sharing. It's in red.
On the top, there's stop video, chat, new share, pause share, at the top. Let me see. Encryption, recording, back to bottom, screen sharing. I'm afraid to click the X because I think I'll lose everything. Well, maybe I won't.
You'll still be screen sharing.
Oh, here. Ta-da! Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, I'm open for questions if you have any. Yes, Brian.
At the beginning of your presentation, you had a chart of the grants going on in our district with the various clubs. Where can I find that chart?
Okay, that chart was not of our district. That was a picture of matchinggrants.org. And that's where you will find that chart with a listing of grants that are open in various districts, not this district, although some of our grants may be on that website, but it gives you options for a lot of different grant programs and different websites that you can actually join. Thanks for that question. Yeah. Another question?
Helene, when someone is looking at matchinggrants.org and they click on one of the grants, what kind of information is going to pop up if they might be interested in helping?
Well, the line across breaks down into the name of the grant. I think it might also give the grant number, but it shows how much money they need, how much money they have raised, and how much they still need. And then there's a way to contact that grant so that you can participate in it. You know who developed that, Marilyn? I'm sure you know him, Philippe Lemoise. He was my classmate, and he came up with that site a long time ago.
Yeah, it's a very valuable resource.
Yeah, it really is. Any other questions or comments?
Great
Yes,
presentation.
Rich.
I was just going to say you brought up some wonderful points. I think the most important is having a good relationship with your partners. That's very important. So on matchinggrant.org, I think Marilyn did mention there's some contact information for people to get a hold of the grant, and that would be your first start if you don't know that person, to contact him and see what kind of relationship you could build. And also,
Rich, your microphone or something is really garbled.
Yeah, I didn't get half of that.
Mute them.
you okay now?
Yeah, it's perfect.
Okay. Yeah, and also, I think, as you mentioned, Helene, the strongest point, I think, of our Rotary Foundation is the stewardship. I don't think there's any other foundation in the world that has that level of stewardship, watching every single penny. So it's a wonderful feature. One technical question on DDF matching on Rotary grants from the World Fund. What is it now? $1 of DDF? Is it 80 cents of
Mhm.
the World Fund? Okay,
Cents on the
$86 on the
dollar.
dollar,
so that hasn't changed. And cash contributions, what is that?
no match, no match anymore.
No match at all.
Nope.
Okay,
And 50% match the polio plus.
yeah,
I knew that was bound to happen because, you know, when you give 150% away,
you run out.
you run out. Yeah, and that's what they were doing. So it was
I
bound.
think Margaret Thatcher brought that up years ago.
Any other questions or comments? You know,
Now, this is Sonia from Hemet. Right?
yes.
I just want to say that this by far has to be my favorite training out of all of the trainings this month. I've been pretty active with attending quite a few, so just your information is very valuable to, especially our community. You know, we have so many different nonprofits, but I mean, just the knowledge and the value that's brought today. I am very appreciative. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Sonia. I really appreciate that. Yeah, you know, I wanted to tell you of an experience my husband and I had in support of leadership. Somebody, Doris, I think
If you're not asking a question, would you please mute?
it's Doris.
I
Yeah.
don't know where the feedback's coming from.
Yeah, my husband is an orthopedic surgeon, and he was as a cadre member to visit the intraocular lens implant project that was going on in India at the time. It covered 18,762 patients. They were all with cataracts, and there was a Canadian eyesight organization and the Rotary Foundation that each shared the cost of the lens. The lens was $35. All of the ophthalmologists in India did the surgeries for free. And if the hospitals were needed, as they were put in the hospital overnight and had EKGs, urinalysis, and blood tests. Those were paid for by the Rotary clubs, right out of the Rotarians' pockets. And when we went there, I mean, it was just unbelievable what we saw, this huge project. And we were both allowed to go because Leonard wouldn't go without me. And I was the immediate past district governor at that time. This was in 2007. And so they said, sure, she can go, but you have to pay for her. So, you know, we paid for me, and he was paid for by the Rotary Foundation because he was the one that had to do the inspections. He went into the operating rooms, he talked to the surgeons, we met with the hospital people. We did everything that he was supposed to do in order to write a report to the Rotary Foundation as to whether this project was doing what it was supposed to be doing, whether the surgery, what complication rate was similar to that in the United States, or whether it was much higher. So he was looking at the quality of the surgeries, and on and on and on. The report that he sent back was quite thick because they wanted to know all these questions. They wanted to know where the money was going, who was getting the money. Well, the surgeons were doing it for free. The hospitals were paid for by the Rotarians. So the only cost was the intraocular lens implant itself. And that was being paid for half by the Rotary Foundation and half by the Canadian Operation Eyesight. So they sent people out like him and me. They got the extra benefit, you know, with me being there as an IPDG, to actually look at what is happening. So, you know, when I ask somebody to give a contribution to the Rotary Foundation, that's the first thing I tell them. We watch your money like a hawk. We watch your money. We make sure it's going to the right place. And that's something that you also can use to get your club members and to get the non-Rotarians, you know, to contribute to this fantastic foundation and continue doing this terrific work that we're doing. You know, I wish all of you had the ability to go to these sites and actually see these projects for yourself. You would be blown away. It's just something that you can't forget. And once you see that and you know what's happening with your dollar, you will give more dollars because you're so proud of what your dollar did. It's just a no-brainer. It's amazing. Any
Wow.
other comments?
I think the day I became a Rotarian, a real Rotarian, was when I went to Kenya and saw what contributions did to feed school children who came from the slums across the street. And that's something that's going to stay with me forever in my life. And it brought home the meaning. That's when I came back home and signed up for Rotary Direct so I could donate without thinking. Those kinds of projects are more powerful than any words can explain. And if you see it for yourself, and Rich and Helene, I know you've done that, and Dean, I think you probably have too. It's I don't even have words.
Yeah. Very good.
Marilyn, I'm actually going to Ensenada for the first time with my Rotary Club, and I'm born in Ensenada, but I guess they service the orphanage out there. So I'm so excited to go, and I can't wait for my year because I know it's going to be amazing. And to hear the passion that comes from both of you ladies, wow. I can't wait. I know I'm going to be on that same boat with you guys.
You will.
Thank you.
Some of the chat room comments, Helene, I want you to know about. The first one is from Sonia, and she says that your presentation is amazing, and she's right on with that. And Susan says that your presentation was powerful, and it is. And you know, the way you did that with black and white lists with things that you need to do, all the steps that you need to do. And then when you showed an example of what those steps completed lead to. Yeah, that's beyond powerful, Helene. Great job, Helene. Very informative.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? We still have time. I just want to remind you that this has been recorded, and when it is posted on YouTube, I will send you the link. I don't want you to know that I don't know how to do that, but I know people who do know how to do that. And it's amazing what Rotarians can come up with and how we can help each other. So I will send the link on to you. You have Dr. PDG, Dr. Helene Kalfas. I think that might be the right order for your titles, Helene. I'm not positive, but past district governor, and we also have past district governor Rich Delacqua on, and previously, I think he had to leave, we had past district governor Barry Valdez. We have club presidents, we have foundation chairs here on this call tonight. I want to thank you for taking the time out of your busy days, and particularly from 6 to 7, and since that's when a lot of people are eating dinner or relaxing or having a cocktail, Rich, and spending your time learning about the Rotary Foundation grant process. It's not, if you don't have the information or the resources, it'll be very intimidating, but Helene just gave you a step-by-step way to make it happen. So unless there's something else, are you raising your hand? Yeah, go ahead, Doris.
Yes, I want to say to Eileen that thanks a million. She's making great, enormous job since she became Rotarian. It's not just now or for the last few years. No, it's here. She's a truly Rotarian. And thank you so much, Eileen, from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you, Doris. Okay. Anybody else? Okay, with that, then I think you have the information that you need. And if you need a review of something, the YouTube video will be available soon. And also, if you want the PowerPoint presentation as a PowerPoint and not part of this session, then just let me know. Marilyn Sanderson 1617 at Gmail. So with that, I bid you all a good night. Thank you for attending. Have a great weekend ahead.
Thank you,
Bye.
Marilyn. Good night. Good night. Good night. Wow.